When it comes to punting on NBA, what are your tips for betting on NBA day to day kind of punting?
Yeah, it can
dabbling
be
responsibly, obviously. But what are your tips to go through when you're coming up with?
Yeah, so
bets?
it's a grind, right? Like it's such a long season, and there's so many games, and there's so many swings either way. So I think the biggest thing to really look at if you want to start getting better at like identifying situations is really pay attention to the schedule.
Yeah.
Like map out the schedule, whether you map it out yourself, whether you use an existing resources. There's a million out there. Have a look at teams who have had to log travel, who have had to go East Coast to West Coast and back again in the space of 2 weeks. Like as good as teams are at managing these days, there's still market inefficiencies there to be found. So picking up on those spots is probably the most fundamental.
So sorry to dive into that a little bit. So you're talking about as granular as that. It's like they're going to the west and then back to the east and then back again.
Yeah.
That's the type of stuff like, right, it's a lot of travel.
Yeah.
Fatigue sets in. That's the opportunity there.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And probably not so much in head-to-head markets and lines, because I think the market does a good job of capturing that.
Yeah.
But total specifically, like a tired team isn't going to play defense.
Yeah. Cool.
Like it's as simple as that. So, I think totals is where you can exploit those specifically without giving too much away. And then the other thing I think is a really good habit for people to get into, and this you can use this in any sport, but in NBA specifically, is just creating your own power rating system. And what I mean by that is literally listing out teams 1 to 30. How do you rate these teams if everyone's fully healthy, if everyone's had equal rest and on level playing field? Jot down how you rate these teams, give them a numerical value, like literally 1 to 100.
Yeah, right.
Where 100 is like, prime 96 Bulls and 0 is like the Charlotte Bobcats that finished with the worst record in the league.
Yep.
And I'm not going to break down the exact formulas and stuff, but even just having that as a foundation point for you to work off can really, really help you when then looking at the markets, because it's so easy to look at a market and be like, oh, team X -4 points is nothing in the NBA. But if you always have that visual representation, you remember just how close, especially that middle of the pack is in the NBA. Like a lot of those lines make sense, and it's like, okay, there's actually no real edge to be found there whatsoever.
Yeah, right. Well, I have to follow you on Dabble in the banter chat. It's always good to get in there, I reckon, and see whatever people are getting on. And there's some big fans, like a lot of big Celtic fans are in there.
Yeah. I'll be championing the Celtics all season long. So
you're jumping on early?
Yeah, jumping on early and often, I'll tell you that much.
Right.
You win some, you lose more. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.